everyone. This is Eileen, one of your librarians at the Thomas Crane Library. And I know you guys are probably missing browsing the stacks here at the library. We miss seeing you too, so we thought we'd put together a little video about some of the new books you might be able to find in the stacks and online in our online catalog. So let's begin. First we have here the last book on the left. It's stories of murder and mayhem from the world's most notorious serial killers. These gentlemen had a podcast called Last Book on the Left. So this is their book that they've released. It has all the big ones, Dahmer, Gein, Ted Bundy, all the scary ones. It's very well illustrated as well, and kind of goes in a podcast format. They have a little conversation with each other. So it's pretty fun. It's great for you guys who are really into the true crime. So definitely check this one out. It's also an overdrive, so you'll be able to check it out digitally as well.
So my first recommendation for a book is How to Die in Space. So if you're like me or like a lot of people, you have dreams of maybe going out into space one day and exploring the galaxy. And this is going to pull a lot of cold water on those ideas. It's a somewhat pithy but really informative view of our solar system and the universe and all the ways that going into space can go very, very wrong. This is by Paul M. Sutter, PhD, and is available not only as a physical book but also through Hoopla as an ebook and as an audiobook.
Hey. Next book on our new bookshelves that I can recommend is The Book of Colby by M.R. Carey. You might recognize the name from a book that was very popular a few years ago called The Girl with All the Gifts. That was a zombie book that I can recommend as well. I'm usually not into zombies, a little too scary for me, but it was very well written and had a lot of great characters. So this is his new book, the first in a trilogy, the Rampart trilogy. It's a dystopian novel set in the future about a young teenage boy who discovers some secrets of the ruling family and has to contend with life outside his walled town, which has killer trees. So this is definitely an exciting book, and keep an eye out for that. He's a master storyteller.
So my next book that I'd like to recommend is called To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. You might remember Christopher Paolini is the author of the Aragon series of young adult books. This is his first fiction book for adults, and it is a lengthy, epic tale of a blue-collar woman who works amongst the stars and is looking forward to settling down a little, but then makes a discovery right before she was ready to settle down that changes the path of human history and has a very unique approach to first contact with other life forms. So it's really fun, really interesting, and I recommend it in either a physical book, which we have here, but we also have a copy of the ebook through Libby.
Okay, so the next book I can recommend is called Godshot by Chelsea Beaker. This is a contemporary literary fiction book set in a drought-ravaged small town in California, led by a pastor who loves glitter, as referenced in the cover. This is about a young girl who struggles in the cult with her mother, and it's a lot of, really heartfelt feminism and relationships between a mother and daughter. So it's been called very dark, but also really gets you in the feels right there. So this is a debut novel from Chelsea, so hopefully we'll see more of her in the future.
The next book I'm going to recommend is The Louvre, The Many Lives of the World's Most Famous Museum. So 2020 has prevented us from doing a lot of the things we used to do, especially appreciating some of the cultural institutions that we used to be able to go to but aren't as accessible anymore. And what better way to remind ourselves of the importance of these institutions than to read about one of the world's most famous ones. So this book is by James Gardner, and the author brings us on a tour of the history of not just the building, but also the actual land area that the Louvre occupies, the history behind the architecture, and then also the collections held within. It's a great way to explore the world's most famous museum without being able to visit it. This book we only have available right now in print.
All right, our next book is called Little Eyes by Samantha Schweblin. She's an Argentinian author who wrote her debut novel, I believe, was Fever Dream. Also another book I can recommend that is a very odd book set in a woman's consciousness. So check that one out too. This one is her follow-up. It's more of a kind of a dystopian novel, which obviously I love. It's about a new technology, little robots that can move and kind of enjoy your life with you, but they're inhabited by other people's eyes and souls. So it's kind of a creepy novel about this new technology that's kind of more voyeuristic and just kind of intrusive. So definitely a weird one as well. So hopefully you'll be able to check that one out. It's also available digitally in Overdrive, so that's handy.
So the next book I'd like to recommend to you is called Greenwood by Michael Christie. Greenwood is an interesting tale of the world's last forest in the year 2038 and goes back through time to follow the family that is the caretaker of this piece of the world from 1934 all the way into the near future. So it's a really engaging way to think about the impact of the environment on our lives and the importance of it, but also has a nice little mystery tucked within it as well. This book is available in print, but also through Libby.
Last book that I can recommend is Baker Rita, an excellent baking novel, baking book by Rachel Connors. She has a blog called Baker Rita if you want to get online and follow her there. This is a vegan baking book, gluten-free, dairy-free, no refined sugar recipes. So this is great to check out after the holidays when you're trying to still have some treats, but also, watch that sugar intake. So I really love this skillet cookie. That looks really good. So she's got a bunch of things. Some of them are savory, some of them are sweet. She's got a cheesecake here. Some granola bars, things that you can take on the go or have it special made for your family. So I definitely recommend this delicious baking book.
So my last book to recommend to you today is The Eighth Wonder of the World, The True Story of Andre the Giant by Bertrand Herbert and Pat LaPrade. This is the book for anybody who, like me, grew up fascinated with not just wrestling, but the biggest guy in wrestling. And it tells the life of this figure that was often overshadowed by some of the more flashy wrestlers, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan. But Andre was one of a kind, and what he did for wrestling was also one of a kind. And so I really recommend it for anybody like me, a child of the 80s that was a fan of wrestling, and especially Andre the Giant. This book is available as an ebook and as an audiobook through Hoopla.
I hope you've enjoyed our recommendations from our new bookshelf. Please feel free to browse our online catalog that can be found at thomascranelibrary.org. Give us a call at 617-376-1300 extension 3 if you want to get some help searching the catalog, placing your holds, or you want some recommendations on the books that we have here. And so hope you enjoy.